Welcome back to Higher Maths, Functions and Graphs, and we are going to be looking at example number 3 from the graph transformations exercise. So quite a long exercise. It is a double period exercise. So shown as a graph of y equals f of x, on separate diagrams sketch y equals negative f of negative x plus 2, and 1 minus f of x. So question number 3 is a possible exam question. Ones like that have come up before. There's not a trick to it, but there's something that might catch one or two of you out that we definitely need to go over. So first of all, number 1 anyway. So y equals negative f of x. So all that does, it reflects the graph in the x-axis. So this point will not move. This point here, 3, 0, will not move. 0, 1 will be flipped in the x-axis to become 0, negative 1. 1, 2 will be flipped in the x-axis, reflected in the x-axis to become 1, negative 2. Okay, but remember we need a structure, a method for just generating those points, so when we go into a harder question, we'll be able to get it right without making any little mistakes. So the x coordinate remains the same. The y coordinate becomes a negative of what it is because it's been reflected in the x-axis. So x comma y maps to x comma negative y. So negative 2, 0 maps to negative 2, 0. 0, 1 will map to 0, negative 1. Remember, the 1 will flip upside down and become negative 1. The 0, the x coordinate, has not changed. And in a similar way, we'll have those 2 points as well. And then once we have that, we can just make our sketch. Remember to annotate all of the points. You can get the shape of the graph right. If you don't annotate it, you're essentially throwing away some of the easiest marks in the paper. Okay, always annotate. Question number 2, f of negative x plus 2. So f of negative x reflects the graph in the y-axis. Okay, so the y-axis will be our axis of symmetry. All the x coordinates will flip across that y-axis. Okay, so here 1, 2 will map to negative 1, comma 2. So the y coordinate isn't changing when we're doing f of negative x. Then after that, we need to add on 2, which will add 2 to all of the y coordinates. Okay, so essentially reflect it in the y-axis, then add on 2. So xy will map to negative x, comma y plus 2. So again, substituting in these 4 points will generate these 4 points here. And then we can sketch the graph once we have those points. Now remember to look at the shape of the graph and to repeat that. So it's been reflected and then moved up by 2. So make sure it has the right look, the right shape to the graph. So it's got smooth turning points. It's not a zigzag. We're not magically turning it into a sine wave because it's definitely not a sine wave. Okay. And finally, y equals 1 minus f of x. So as I mentioned, potential exam question. We need to rewrite that as negative f of x plus 1. So essentially what we have here, we have negative 1 multiplied by f of x. And as you guys all know, BODMAS, or the order of operations, applies in maths 100% of the time. So we need to do any multiplying. So we're scaling by negative 1, which is essentially just negative f of x, which flips the graph upside down. And then after that, we're going to add on 1. So xy will map to x comma negative y plus 1. So hopefully you guys have got the hang of the generating the new coordinates by now. And once we have those, make a sketch of the graph again. Remember, annotate all of the points. Okay, so that type of question has definitely come up in the exam over the last 10 years. Something to be aware of.